So I've been playing Ark Survival Ascended, and I have approximately 26 hours into the Steam version. I know that might not seem like a lot for some of you guys out there, however, but coming as a OG Ark Survival Evolved player, I believe this gives me more than enough time to really hone in on my impressions on Ark Survival Ascended, at least at the current state of the game. So then officially diving into some of the really awesome TLC and quality of life changes that they have added into Ark Survival Ascended from Ark Survival Evolved. Now, some of these things you might have noticed will come directly from something like Structures Plus or a additional mod that was out for Ark Survival Evolved in the past. Well, now they have officially baked this inside of the base or core game for Ark Survival Ascended. The very first one that I want to mention, which is absolutely a awesome one, and that is going to be AoE Power and AoE Water. So what I mean by that is in the past, you'd have to place a generator down, you'd have to run wires to a outlet box, and then you'd have to be able to put items close enough to that outlet box for it to draw a giant, like, this, absurd wire across your base in order for it to reach from the outlet box to that specific light or, item that you're trying to power. Well, inside of Ark Survival Ascended, they have officially got rid of all of that mess, which again, absolutely love. You can actually place a generator down, and within a AoE range, like an area around that generator, anything you place down that requires power will automatically be able to receive that power wirelessly from your generator. So gone are the days that you have tons of wires hanging around your base, tons of these, outlet boxes, and then you have just tons of these weird, be able to walk through wires that are just visually unappealing. Same thing goes for the water. So the water, this one doesn't really make as much sense to me because it's not wirelessly fed, in real life, but nevertheless, the water is basically the exact same way. You can decide to place a tap close to a actual main water source, things like, for instance, either river or the ocean, or, whatever you want to do. You place a tap relatively close, and then it will literally automatically wirelessly start pumping out water out of that tap. So once again, you can do the exact same thing here, where you can run multiple taps all the way down, where you can go from the ocean section all the way to a base or underneath a base, or wherever you need your greenhouse to be, anything like that, and you'll be able to receive some sort of water source wirelessly. Additionally, when it comes to quality of life stuff, we have two really awesome TLCs when it comes to dinos. We have the Oviraptor, which officially now will AoE collect eggs. As long as you have them set to wander, anything within inside that radius, those eggs will automatically be collected by your Oviraptor. Therefore, you'll never forget an egg that was dropped on the ground, whether you're online or offline. Just absolutely a really good change here. Same thing goes for the Dung Beetle. Just as the same, you'll be able to lock your Dung Beetle up, in a cage or a fence, set them to wander, and then from there, any poop in the radius, they will actually be able to AoE pick it up, put it into their inventory, and then convert that poop into fertilizer. Once again, making it very, very convenient here to manage things like growing your massive garden and keeping up with fertilizer. Gone are the days where you have to have like 25 of the compost bins in order for you guys to generate a bunch of fertilizer to fulfill all of your crop plots. Additionally, when it comes to quality of life, another really big one that I love, and that is removing an item now will return all of the subsequent items. So for instance, if you have, let's just say, 4 or 5 ceilings placed in a row and you have them all attached to like a pillar foundation, right, that's going all the way down to the ground, if you remove that pillar, which would normally in the past actually break down all of those items, beyond that, so you would destroy the pillar, it would break all of those ceilings, for instance, and then return all of those materials, or at least a portion of those materials, back to your inventory. Well, gone are those days, and they have officially added a brand new quality of life for Ark Survival Ascended, that once you pick up that pillar, for instance, it will then just not break any of those other ceilings and pillars down, and instead what it will actually do is it will then return those building pieces back to your inventory for you to then once again place them down. You no longer have to craft those items all over again, or potentially only get back a portion of those materials to then have to craft them and then also farm more materials in order for you to replace what you destroyed. Again, just a really nice TLC here that I'm really, really excited about when it comes to building inside of Ark Survival Ascended. Now, I could go on forever when it comes to quality of life life building inside of Ark Survival Ascended. However, though, we'll save that for another video. Just know that overall, the game has a ton of TLC and quality of life stuff that I absolutely love, coming straight out of Ark Survival Evolved and the mods that went along with it. Now, diving into the second thing I want to talk about for the video, and that is going to be the obviously visualization and graphics of Ark Survival Ascended. Right off the bat, as you can already tell from these screenshots from my videos that I've been putting out since Ark Survival Ascended, stacking them up against Ark Survival Evolved videos or even screenshots, the game looks beautiful and it looks absolutely amazing. Obviously, it still has its flaws, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that the game is definitely not anywhere close to being done in my opinion, and it needs a lot of polish. As you can see here, something as simple as these floating leaves or these floating rocks, as you can see, that should definitely not be hanging here in, mid-air, and instead they should be placed down on the ground. So there is a little bit of extra, obviously, TLC that needs to be done when it comes to some of this stuff, but the overall landscape, no matter what settings you're currently on, even on the absolute lowest settings, looks by far superior to Ark Survival Evolved. In addition to just the graphics here, I also really like the lighting that they have added in Ark Survival Ascended. Coming from a game like Ark Survival Evolved, where in my opinion the lighting was absolutely terrible, everything from the light being way too strong and bright that it just clearly blinded you, or potentially just washed out everything with way too much exposure, or even the opposite, where you would have a torch or something lit and you could barely see 5 feet in front of you to do whatever it is because it just simply didn't put off enough light. When it comes to Ark Survival Ascended, I think they have done a wonderful job when it comes to TLC with bringing, I think Lumen is what it's called, via Unreal Engine 5. So now that we've talked about some positives and things that I absolutely love about Ark Survival Ascended, unfortunately, this is a first impressions and I want to give you guys my honest opinion. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the things that absolutely I either dislike or that potentially needs a lot of TLC and optimization for the game to actually run properly. So starting us off with the obvious one, and that is clearly the game needs a ton of optimization in order for players to run it efficiently. Now, I will state right off the bat, if you got a 4090, you might be okay and you might be able to get by with whatever optimization they've already done in the game since the game has officially launched. I will state it still struggles to run this game on epic or, ultra settings essentially, especially when it comes to making like recording content, live streaming, doing other things with your PC besides just running Ark Survival Ascended. Now, I understand not everybody is a content creator and that might not even be a big deal for you, but just know that the game is not at all optimized to where it needs to be. However, it is worth mentioning though, we do have the official console launch, at least for Xbox, coming up on the 14th of November, so that's going to be officially next week, and it's going to be interesting to see how well it is optimized for the console, or at least for the Xbox version, and I really think that's going to determine how soon we could potentially see the PS5 launch. If the Xbox launch is completely botched and they have tons of issues and everything else just like the Steam version did, then I can highly expect that they will actually postpone or delay the PS5 launch officially, just based on that feedback and that results. But overall, at the game's current state, it definitely needs some optimization. And in addition to the optimization to make sure the game runs efficiently on people's systems, there's also a ton and a slew of bugs, glitches, and just weird, quirks that are currently happening that obviously Wildcard has to iron out. Some of those, just to name a few here, are things like our random items disappearing from people's bases and then randomly showing up at the coordinates 50-50 on the map, which is just going to, correlate to random stuff being floating in midair. Sometimes it could be dinos, it could be, a bed with a player actually sleeping on it that is logged out of the game. It could be spiked walls, it could be dino gates, you name it. I've seen tons of pictures on social media of just a conglomerate of random stuff that obviously disappears and spawns at the location 50-50. Additionally, here we have tons of cases where dinosaurs are just being meshed underneath the world. They're either falling through the game's mesh or potentially just somehow going underneath foundations or inside of foundations, requiring players to remove those foundations to try to save them, and unfortunately sometimes not even being able to find them at all, not even in their tribe log, even after they clearly had that dinosaur tamed. Well, obviously, again, this is going to be something that Wildcard will, I'm sure, fix over time, but again, we're making this first impressions based on the first 30 hours that I have played of the game. So with all that being said, I'm just going to wrap up the video here by giving you my honest opinion and my honest take on what I think about Ark Survival Ascended, at least with my 30 hours in. I can tell you right off the bat, bat, I'm going to kind of shotgun this out. So right off the bat, as a OG Ark Survival Evolved player, I absolutely love Ark Survival Ascended. I think the TLC, the quality of life stuff, the structures plus being implemented into the core gameplay experience, absolutely, mwah, it's a chef's kiss, and I think it adds up or makes up for a lot of the bugs and a lot of the things that we're experiencing. And secondly here, just being a gamer in general, I have dealt with a lot of early access, titles, early release titles, demos, playtest, you name it. And so based on that knowledge, I already knew or expected it to have a lot of, bugs and a lot of glitches and a lot of, optimization that still need to be had, especially when they announced that they were going to launch the game into an early access title. Speaking of early access here, that's something else that you guys have to understand that are looking to buy this game. The game is in early access. Early access officially means that you're essentially opting in to pay that price, and if the game never becomes finished, you are going to be okay with understanding that you paid that price for the current status of the game. So you just got to go in it with that kind of mindset and understand that whatever you spend right now to buy the game, that might be all that you get, and that's unfortunately what it came to be in something like Ark Survival Evolved and a lot of other early access games. So going into it with that mindset, understanding that it is an early access title, I definitely think it softens the blow when it comes to dealing with the lack of optimization and then the updates and stuff that they obviously either have to come out with or potentially the ones that do come out and also cause more problems. But anyways, guys, with all that being said, I definitely think that the game itself is going to be worth it. If you are a player from Ark Survival Evolved, I think it is still 100% worth it in its current state with all the optimizations that they have already done up until this point. However, if you are brand new to the Ark Survival universe, whether that being Evolved or Ascended, right, you haven't played either one of those games, you're brand new, and additionally you're running on a budget-friendly machine, meaning like a bare bones machine that can run medium settings on most games that are currently in the industry, I cannot recommend you pick up Ark Survival Ascended, at least at its current state, strictly due to the fact that your experience is going to be subpar. It's going to be terrible. You're probably going to run into a lot of bugs, lagging, glitches, crashes, just a lot of weird stuff that the typical player that has a good machine will actually experience. And when a game like Ark Survival Ascended, it does have full-on PvP, servers where you could run up on another player, destroy them, kill them, take all their stuff and everything, I just don't see how that's going to be fair or at least a good experience for a player that is running on a budget-friendly machine that is going to have several issues going up against a player that has a stacked or the top of the line, the 4090 machine and not get destroyed and have a good time, right? So I just definitely don't think that I would recommend it if that is you. However, if you do have a good solid machine, you love survival type games, you love games when it comes to surviving and taming animals or taming creatures in that sense, aka dinosaurs for Ark Survival Ascended, I definitely think that, Ark and Wildcard Studios does this genre the best, at least at the current state of this genre in the industry. I definitely think that they have a, niche here when it comes to what they provide, and they do make a really good solid experience and have really good ideas when it comes to captivating that audience. And if that is something that you're looking for, then absolutely spend the money, pick up the game. Just know that when you buy the game in early access, as I talked about before, you got to be okay with the understanding that you're going to run into some weird bugs, glitches, hang-ups, things like that. And if they potentially walk away from the game in the future, you're going to have to be satisfied with whatever current status that it is in, just like the rest of us. But either way, guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up my first impressions here. Hopefully, this helps give you guys a better understanding of my first 30 hours into the game and what I currently have experienced and what I currently love and hate about the game so far. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything Ark Survival Ascended related. And with that being said, as always, guys, I'll see ya on the next one.